What can be better than a full plate of smoky Canadian bacon, fluffy eggs, creamy cheese with a toasted English muffin? Well, having all those flavors in a portable handheld sandwich. McDonald's has, actually turned this into reality with their famous Egg McMuffin, packing that complete breakfast into one delicious bite. It's more than just a sandwich. It's the creation that invented fast food breakfast. So let's dive into McDonald's supply chain and watch how they've perfected this breakfast icon, one savory layer at a time. Today, nearly every fast food chain serves breakfast, but back in the early 70s, it was practically unheard of. Burger shops would typically open their doors around 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you wanted breakfast earlier, you had to hit up a diner or, just cook it yourself. I remember my dad took us to McDonald's the very first morning they had breakfast. Spotting this gap in the market, McDonald's franchisee Herb Peterson began developing the sandwich that would soon reshape our mornings. Inspired by his liking for Eggs Benedict, Peterson aimed to transform the flavors of that sophisticated dish into a portable, on-the-go meal. To do so, he first commissioned a local blacksmith to design a Teflon-coated ring that molded the egg into a perfect circle, fitting the sandwich precisely. Then, he topped the rounded egg with grilled Canadian bacon and swapped the runny Holland sauce for a neat slice of American cheese. When he placed everything on a toasted English muffin, the first fast food breakfast sandwich was born, the Egg McMuffin. McDonald's owner, Ray Kroc, was sold on the concept, and in 1975, Peterson's ingenious creation was launched nationwide, sending the golden arches into fast food breakfast history. Now, let's take the trip inside McDonald's supply chain and see how this breakfast favorite comes to life with today's advanced equipment. We'll begin at the factory level first with the preparation of the English muffin, Canadian bacon, fresh whole eggs, and American cheese. After that, we'll visit the restaurant and watch the crew put it all together. McDonald's English muffins are supplied through a regional network of bakeries, often including Fresh Start and Bimbo bakeries, though these names can vary by location and demand. Production starts with a blend of enriched wheat flour, water, sugar, and soybean oil. After about 10 minutes of mixing, the dough reaches the right stretch and elasticity before being funneled atop this divider machine. The divider forces out the dough while cutting it into individual portions. As the portions move along the conveyor, they run against a surface that shapes them into perfect round balls. These balls tumble off the end and onto a series of slides, picking up a coating of cornmeal as they descend. A cubed conveyor at the slide's end carries them to the proof box where warm 95-degree Fahrenheit heat and 85% humidity wakes up the yeast, feeding on the sugars and forming tiny air pockets throughout the dough. This is what ultimately forms the signature nooks and crannies of an English muffin. Exiting the proofer, the dough balls are flipped over and settle into these specialized muffin-shaped griddle cups, which carries them through this 50-foot oven set at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly 3 minutes with over 4,000 muffins baking simultaneously. After a 180-degree flip at the end, they make a second pass through the oven, baking the opposite side for another 3 minutes. The freshly baked muffins then ride up this spiral cooling tower, gradually returning them to room temperature before a spinning conveyor rotates the muffins while a cork splitter pierces the bread on all sides, creating an uneven split through the middle. This uneven tear is what opens up the muffins' famous nooks and crannies. Finally, they're split into 2 groups of 6, stacked vertically and sealed in clear plastic wrap. To prevent crushing, the wrap bundles are placed on these protective, stackable blue crates before being shipped fresh to McDonald's restaurants. While McDonald's hasn't confirmed its exact source for its Canadian bacon, Lopez Foods is widely known to supply much of its pork and beef products through McDonald's meat network. It all starts with fresh pork loins, one of the leanest and most tender cuts from the pig's upper back. These arrive fresh from the slaughterhouse in bulk 2,000-pound bins before heading into the curing line. A worker carefully prepares a brine mix of water, sugar, and curing salt, also called sodium nitrite, in which gives the meat its rosy color, mild saltiness, and prevents spoilage. The liquid curing brine then flows through piping into an injection machine fitted with over 120 fine needles. As each loin passes underneath, they're evenly infused with the brine, adding flavor and tenderizing the meat from the inside out. After an 18-hour rest in the curing room, held at a chilly 28 degrees Fahrenheit, they move to a stuffing machine that shapes the batch of loins into a tube-shaped log. Caramel-coated netting is fed into the machine from one side, while the loins are forced in from the other, filling the netting as they go. The netting holds the tube shape and applies a touch of color to the outside. Next, these logs are rolled into this large oven and steam cooked at low heat for about 5 hours, giving the brine time to work its way through every bite. When cooking finishes, the loin logs head to a refrigerated slicing room to cool down. Here, the netting comes off and the logs are loaded onto a slicer, which cuts them into perfect rounds about 3 inches wide and a 1/4 inch thick, just right for an Egg McMuffin. The stacks of slices are then vacuum sealed for freshness, packaged into boxes, and delivered cold to McDonald's locations. The Egg McMuffin stands out as the only. The Grade A Egg Factory supplies an item on the McDonald's menu that's made with a fresh Grade A whole egg cracked just before the sandwich is prepared. These eggs, by the way, are sourced from Cargill, a partner that works with independent farms to supply only cage-free eggs to McDonald's locations across the country. On the farm, hens that are around 20 weeks old eat a well-rounded diet of corn and soybean meal, enriched with minerals and vitamins, and typically lay 1 egg per day. Once they're laid, the eggs are collected and conveyed through this grading line for inspection, sizing, and market preparation. First, they go through a 120-degree sanitizing wash to clean off any soiling matter. Next, they travel over a candling table where trained inspectors and cameras check for blood spots or cracks before an automated sensor assigns a grade to each one. Only the Grade A eggs are approved for McDonald's, and these proceed forward to be sorted into the appropriate carton. The cartons are carefully boxed, chilled, and loaded onto refrigerated trucks, headed for McDonald's restaurants, where they can remain fresh for up to 3 to 4 weeks. That gooey slice of American cheese is supplied by Leprino Foods, which also provides dairy products to many other well-known fast food chains. Their formula is customized for McDonald's, one that melts evenly under heat, while keeping its smooth texture and shape on your McMuffin. They begin with giant blocks of cheddar and KBY cheese, which are fed into this large grinder that pulverizes them into a uniform mixture. The shreds get melted down before emulsifying agents are mixed in to stop the cheese from separating when heated on the grill. Then a touch of food coloring gives it that familiar orange hue. After cooking for about 1 hour, the molten cheese is spread into a thin sheet, cooled slightly, and cut into ribbons, which are then layered and cut into loaves. Each loaf is portioned into a block that creates the individual slices. The slices are then plastic wrapped, boxed, and kept chilled on their way to McDonald's kitchens. Now that we've followed each ingredient from the factory floor to the loading dock, it's time for the grand finale. Let's step onto the McDonald's breakfast line and watch the crew build the Egg McMuffin fresh on the grill. It starts with the farm fresh eggs cracked straight onto the griddle inside McDonald's custom round egg molds. The yolks are broken and lightly stirred. Then a splash of water is added to create steam that cooks the eggs evenly, keeping them soft and fluffy without browning. A lid goes on top and the timer starts for 2.5 minutes. When time's up, the rings are lifted and the rounded eggs are scooped off the grill and placed in a plastic tray that goes into a warming unit. Each slice of Canadian bacon lands on the hot griddle, searing until the edges get a light brown color. They only need about 1.5 minutes per side to heat through and pick up a touch of caramelization. As the Canadian bacon sizzles, the muffins glide through the toaster for about 20 seconds, giving those nooks and crannies a golden toast. On the prep table, the warm, toasted heel and crown are laid on the wrapper. Then, a slice of American cheese hits the heel first, followed by the round egg and hot Canadian bacon, with the crown completing the stack. It's a simple build, but every layer hits just right, coming together for the bite that made breakfast fast, hot, and a whole lot easier. The Egg McMuffin was such a hit that by 1976, McDonald's extended its morning hours with a full breakfast lineup, rolling out new classics like hotcakes, scrambled eggs, sausage hash browns, and even Danishes, all with the Egg McMuffin as the star of the show. So how do you order your McMuffin? Maybe you swap out the Canadian bacon for sausage or regular bacon, or try something totally unexpected. Drop your favorite twist in the comments.